wheeling into the weekend.
Welcome to my time machine, folks. Back to 1985, to a simpler time when things were great, especially if you had an XL600R. This was the bike to have, and for a lot of reasons why. 100 miles an hour top speed, mid 13 second quarter mile, 60 miles per gallon, absolutely bulletproof radial 4-valve combustion engine. And if you look to your left, 5 decades later, 2020, it's the same exact motor. The RFVC. They've gotten a little bit bigger on the bore, but this motor was actually hotter. This motor had a higher compression ratio. It also had less emissions. The Chrisman spark arrestor on here wasn't as restrictive as the stock one on the new one. And the main thing, 2 carburetors. So this thing would haul ass, and it would cruise all day long at 75 miles per hour. If you're wondering, how did this thing stay this pristine? Well, you have to ask my friend Mike Bressler, who owned this bike. It's been registered under his name for the last 8 years, but it's been in the family for longer than that, and it is absolutely pristine. They live in New Jersey, and I don't think there's many fire trails in New Jersey or off-road places to ride, because this thing's an absolute dime piece. The gas tank looks brand new. It has 3,278 miles. When I saw it, I was like, the bike had me at hello, and Mike wanted to trade it in, so we took it on a trade-in. Unfortunately, it had some leaking engine gaskets. Now, if a bike's been sitting around for 5 decades, since 1985, especially a 4-stroke like this, sometimes you can have issues with gaskets drying out. So rest assured that's been taken care of. I've got a long work order I can go over with you. But we had Jimmy, arguably the smartest person that works here. Jimmy Laurinaitis took the engine out of the frame. He's our probably our #1 tech for this kind of a job. And I took the engine out of the frame, completely took it right down to the engine cases and replaced every gasket and seal in it and tuned it, rebuilt it completely, repainted the motor and reinstalled it in the chassis, and then tuned it, went through the carburetors, tuned everything. This is a dual carb setup on this thing. It runs like a brand new motorcycle. And cosmetically, well, I think the bike speaks for itself. This is one of those bikes that was always a cucumber. This thing is not a pickle that was turned back into a cucumber. This thing's original, low miles, clean title. It's got a brand new gold chain on it. It's got new Dunlop tires, front and rear. They replaced the original Trials tires. These are a big upgrade. These Dunlop tires still has the turn signals, the mirrors. It doesn't look like it's ever been crashed, abused, or dropped. I probably just rode the longest wheelie of its 35-year life up the driveway here. So happy to report, when you close your eyes on this classic, you feel exactly the same as when you're riding the brand new one. This one's a little closer to the ground. I think this would probably make a better super motard bike, or this is probably a better street bike than that one, because it is lower to the ground. The seat height is 4 inches shorter than the original one, because the forks have a little bit less travel, as does the shock. Just a fantastic piece. It speaks for itself. It's super sexy. This is my favorite tank badge, the red, white, and blue, for obvious reasons. Kaplan America, it's my favorite color, red, white, and blue. Logo Honda ever made. That's what I put on my CRs. Take a look around this side here, Kenny, at the tank badge on this thing, how pristine this is. If you're a collector looking for a museum quality Honda, look no further. This 85 is in absolutely pristine condition, front to back, and it runs and it looks just like it rolled off the line in 1985. The original seat cover is pristine, the side covers, the turn signals, the front and rear fenders, everything is just fresh on this bike. I've got the work order here. I'll go over a few things with you that we did to the bike. Rest assured, it's 100% ready to go. So, cosmetically, the bike was steam cleaned. The complete exhaust system was painted with the VHT high temp ceramic black. The engine, cylinder, and head were repainted to high temp semi-gloss black. It was only in the detail shop for 5 hours, which is one of the smallest work orders I've seen from the detail shop. Unless it was like a new motorcycle, 5 hours, like to do a full major rotisserie detail, which is what we do for a bike like this, 5 hours is nothing. So the service department, unfortunately, had 24 hours on it. So I'll go down the parts list with you in a moment here, but before I do that, I'll point out I do have the clean title in hand. So next we're going to go over the mechanical side of what we've done to the bike. The first thing we had to do, because unfortunately the head gasket and valve covers were leaking, the engine had to be removed from the chassis. So the entire top end, new base gasket, new head gasket, and new cam cover gaskets. We removed and replaced the decompression lever seals, new clutch cover gaskets, a new oil line to engine square O-rings. We flushed out the oil reservoir, cleaned the screen, put new golden Spectro oil in it, new OEM oil filter. We set the valves to spec, full carb service on both carbs, rebuilt both carburetors, new float needles, new bowl O-ring gaskets, and then reinstalled the engine, installed the carbs, did a full service on all the control cables, lubed and adjusted all the cables. We flushed the front brake fluid with new maximum brake fluid, replaced the drive chain with the gold chain, and then replaced the directional flasher because that wasn't working, and put a new spark plugs. So that's basically it on the work order. That's the good news. The good news is you've got a 3,000 mile motor with all new gaskets on it. It's essentially a brand new motor. There's lots of 2020 bikes that have more miles than this. The bad news is the work order was 29 hours labor plus parts. It was $2,610 in labors and $684 in parts, plus miscellaneous shop supplies. The total was $3,524 on the work order. And the parts list reads like this: NGK spark plug, BP7HS, new valve cover inspection cap O-rings, new decomp lever seals, new OEM Honda head gasket, new valve cover gasket, new decompression cover gasket, new cylinder base gasket, new oil lines and O-rings, new oil filter, new clutch cover gasket, new carb float needles and seats, new gasket set for the carbs, new gold chain, Maxima DOT4 brake fluid, a new flasher relay, and 2 quarts of golden Spectro 2050. So it's a miscellaneous shop supplies. So what you have here is basically brand new 1985 Honda XL600 time capsule, time machine. And there you have the 2018, which is the same as the 2020 version behind it. There is another video that we just did a complete comparison between 1985 and the 2000 model year, and please watch that video also. We'll put a link to that in there, so that'll be kind of an interesting contrast. So I don't want to reiterate everything I said on there, but know this engine, this is a hot motor with less emissions than the new one. It's a twin carb with higher compression, so it's a true 100 mile per hour cruise, 75 miles an hour all day long, 2-up enduro monster that's ready to take on the Baja or bring it to the city. So some of the things we did since we got the bike from Mike, I've documented already, but looking at the fork lowers, those were machine polished. They're absolutely beautiful. We did those in-house. The frame's been touched up, the motor's been repainted. It's been detailed to a high level, top to bottom. Still, as I said earlier, the original tank, fenders, and everything is in mint shape because it's basically a brand new bike with 3,000 miles. Good luck finding a nicer 85 XL600. I don't think you will anywhere in the country. I haven't seen any come up for sale like this, nearly this nice. So it's a beautiful piece. Junior, is there anything like you'd like to add about this bike?
No, man, you hit the nail on the head. Mike, thank you for hooking it up with this beautiful 600. Right up our alley, and I think the boys enjoyed doing the full Monty on this one. So
absolutely, it's a pristine piece. An honor to work on it. Thanks for hooking us up with it, Mike. And if you guys have any questions, give us a call, 860-454-7024. Good luck bidding on this classic Honda. There will be a link in the comment section to the auction. The auction will be if the bike's up on that link, that means it's for sale. So if the link's gone, then that means it was sold. So everything electrically on the bike, perfect, typical Honda quality. Turn signals, as you can see, the battery's brand new. The headlight, the tail light, everything works beautifully on this bike. So this is a no, even the front brake, everything. So, which is pretty much the case with the Hondas. They're usually pretty much electrically perfect. So, but this one's had very little off-road use. So it's a dime piece. Even has original reflectors on the front here. So Kaplan America approved and completely and thoroughly gone through. So good luck bidding, and God bless America.